The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 3, Einir, Chapter 17. Milla tried to pass through the door 7 times, and Audrus 18. Each and every time, they ended up exactly where they'd left. Milla also tried hacking at the wood, but neither her bone knife nor Merwin hornsword would even scratch it. "We'll have to fly off the roof," Milla said finally. But when they climbed back up, they could no more leave the roof than they could the door. Every time Audrus launched herself off one side of the tower, they found themselves landing on the other side. They could see out, but they couldn't get there. "I wonder what happens next," said Milla. She instinctively knew it was a trap with a purpose. Something would happen soon. Something lethal, she suspected. Something that had to do with the smell of burning, which was growing stronger as the night wore on. She paced around the walkway several more times, thinking. Then she said, "Come on," to Audrus, and went back downstairs. At the bottom, she stood in front of the door and raised her sunstone. Concentrating on it, she called it into full light, bright white light that filled the bottom level and spilled out into the night. "I'm here!" yelled Milla to the winning Nanook. "Here!" "What are you doing?" asked Audrus anxiously. "I'm trying to get one to come in," explained Milla. "I might be able to jump out as one jumps in." "Oh," said Audrus. "But what about me?" "I'll throw one in for you," said Milla. It was a good plan, but it didn't work because the Nanook wouldn't come any closer. Something else did, though. A small green lizard approached the door. It walked upright on its hind legs, wearing a harness made from woven grass, from which hung a sword no longer than Milla's forefinger. It bore a quiver of tiny arrows on its back and carried a bow only slightly shorter than it was tall. "A Kurshkin," said Audrus. "I wonder what it wants." The Kurshkin came within a few stretches of the door and bowed. Then it spoke, in a surprisingly deep voice for one so small.
"Greetings, Milla and Audrus. I am Korkor Koraton Zika. You may call me Zika."
"Greetings," said Milla, bowing in turn. "How do you know our names?"
"The Codex of the Chosen has spoken in my head,"
said Zika.
"It told me to come here. Soon it will speak through my mouth."
"Do you know how we can get out of here?" asked Milla. "Or does the Codex know?" Zika started to speak, then froze. His eyes grew cloudy, rather like a crone mother's, Milla noticed. Then he spoke again, and his voice sounded different, the words coming less fluently.
"I am the Codex. I need your help. Tal alone cannot free me. You must meet him. Zika will show you where."
"What if we don't want to help?" asked Milla. "I see no reason to help any chosen, least of all Tal. He has betrayed—"
"I have little time to speak thus,"
interrupted the Codex.
"Tal has done what he had to do. If you agree to help, Zika will free you from the Dawn House. If not, you will die."
"The Dawn House?" asked Milla. "What is—" Before she could finish the question, Zika's eyes cleared.
"Well,"
he said, his voice normal again.
"What is it to be?"
"A shield maiden does not barter favors," Milla said angrily. "Free us from this prison, then I will decide."
"That is not the instruction of the Codex,"
said Zika. He looked up at the sky and added,
"You had best think quickly. Dawn is not far away."
"What happens at dawn?" asked Audrus. "By the way, I'm happy to help anyone who will help me."
"With the rising of the sun, the Dawn House burns,"
said Zika. "Why?" asked Milla. She shook her head. Nothing in Einir made sense to her.
"It was not always so,"
said Zika.
"It is a curse, I suppose. Something left over from the war. Perhaps something hid here only to be burned out, and the spell continues. The fire only destroys whatever is in the Dawn House. The tower itself is never harmed."
Milla looked at the sunstone on her finger. She had to get that back to the clan. And there was much information, too. But was it more important than the laws of the Shield Maidens? A Shield Maiden does not barter favors. But that was only the 7th law. It was not the most important. Besides, it might be in the interest of all Icecarls for Milla to help Tal return the Codex to the castle. Even if he was a traitor to her and had ruined her future, she had to ignore that and think of what was most important to the clans. The Codex's words also sat in her mind, squatting like unwelcome guests on the deck of an ice ship. Tal has done what he had to do.
The first red glow shows on the horizon,
said Zika calmly.
The house will soon begin to burn.
Milla paced across the room, wrestling with the decision. It felt like surrendering, and she could never surrender. But was it really? Tiny tendrils of smoke started to rise up around her feet as she walked. Audrus floated closer to the doorway and cleared her throat several times, but she did not speak. The Storm Shepherd could feel the turmoil in Milla, the difficulty of the decision. Besides, Audrus thought she'd probably survive a fire. It would hurt, and she would be spread through every room, but she could probably pull herself back together, though she would need water immediately after, and that would be difficult if she was still trapped. "Milla!" Audrus said anxiously. "We're on fire!" Tiny flames were licking up the walls, and the smoke tendrils were winding together into thicker plumes. Milla ignored smoke, flame, and Audrus. She went to the door.
What is it to be?
Asked Zika quickly.